I'm Brianna.
And I'm Akira.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
The following program may contain language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Hey yo, check this out, this is Flavor Flav, and if you want the whole truth, and nothing but the whole truth, so help the whole truth. Hey yo, you better listen to Dante, baby. Dante!
What's going on, y'all? And welcome to another edition of the Dante's Boxing Nation Show. I am your host, Dante, and we got another great show for you as well, as always. Let me go ahead and say that again. And we got another great show for you guys, as always. Let me go ahead and introduce my man who's always repping the panel, my man Boxing Ego. We're going to do it EPMD style, just me and Boxing Ego today. What's going on, Ego?
What's up? Back to business. Let's get it.
Strictly business. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, you know, it'll probably be a little bit of a shorter show today. But anyway, you know, it's a couple things to talk about. And one of the main things that's standing out right now, Boxing Ego, is this situation with Golovkin. Now, since Floyd Mayweather has basically retired, regardless if he comes back or not, it seems like a lot of people in the boxing world, from the decafs to even some of the media people, they couldn't wait to crown Golovkin as pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Now, I mean, I'm not understanding this, Ego. How is it possible? First of all, I remember it was only about a year ago that people were debating on who was the best, Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward. I remember seeing the debates. Everybody was saying, some people, I should say, were saying it was Floyd. Most people were saying it was Floyd. Some people were saying it was Andre Ward. But now all of a sudden, now that Floyd Mayweather retires, now people are saying, or some people are saying, that Golovkin is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Why do you think people are saying this, and how does that make sense, Ego?
I mean, I look at it like this. In boxing, you always have, like, history repeats itself. It's always that one person that's supposed to be the person carrying the torch. They said it was Kelly Pavlik or this person and that. I think Canelo, and then Canelo lost to Mayweather, had a shaky performance versus Laura where some thought he won, some thought he lost. So I think they're just Golovkin. He's hot right now. He's doing sellout crowds, has an exciting style, undefeated. So I really feel that people are just quick to appoint him as the next person because he's a humble dude and they like what he brings to the table. He's looking like a monster. But my thing is this. I like Golovkin a lot. I really appreciate his style. Caught all of his fights, and he fights often. But I just feel you still have to fight someone at that level for me personally to anoint you as the next coming of, you know what I'm saying, Muhammad Ali or whatever fighter, Ray Robinson. He's not on. People are making it like he has the best middleweight run. He's better than Hagler and stuff like that. I mean, you haven't even done more than what Bernard Hopkins has done at middleweight.
Yeah,
Do you have the potential to? Maybe, but I'm a visual learner, you know what I'm saying? So seeing is believing. I just have to see Golovkin fight that person, that monster. David Lemieux is a good, solid test. I think Ward is the ultimate test. If Golovkin were to beat Ward, there are no more questions. Especially if he beats up on him like he's done the Shitas and the Adamas and stuff like that, then people will have to bow down, even if you didn't think he would win. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just waiting for that big test. He has to just keep proving himself.
Yeah, and you know, this is the whole thing, Ego. I look at it like this, and I was going to say this. Matter of fact, I'm working on a video. I haven't uploaded it yet. But just imagine, you know, an NFL season, right, where you have a football team that a lot of fans like, right? It's like this is starting to be the fans' favorite, a very popular football team, but they've never been to the Super Bowl. They've never even made it to the playoffs before, right? And all of a sudden, the fans vote, and they say, you know what? We voted that this team in particular, let's just say it's the Raiders, they don't have to play in the playoffs. They don't even have to play in the Super Bowl. We're just going to crown them as the Super Bowl champions this season. And you got all these other teams like, what the hell? We over here trying to win as many games as we can to advance to the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl so that we can win, and you're just going to give the crown to this team right here without them even having to prove that they are the Super Bowl champions? I mean, to me, that's how I look at the situation with Gennady Golovkin. Don't get me wrong. Gennady Golovkin is one of the best fighters. He is definitely the best middleweight right now. It wasn't that long ago where I was actually in Golovkin's corner, and I was saying that Sergio Martinez needs to stop making excuses and fight this man Golovkin. I even rated Golovkin above Martinez when Martinez was still active because he kept making excuses why he wouldn't fight this guy, right? So now Golovkin is in a situation where not only can he prove, he's already proved that he's the best middleweight, but now he has to prove that he's the best fighter pound for pound in the world. And I don't blame this on Golovkin. All the people saying that he's the best, he's number one, he's rated above Andre Ward. I don't blame this on Golovkin. This is the fans, because the fans are trying to turn boxing into American Idol. They're basically trying to say, look, it doesn't matter, how good you are anymore. Either we like you or we don't like you. You remember American Idol, you look at the top 10 and the worst singer all of a sudden gets more votes than the best singer, right? And so this is the kind of situation that we're looking at with Golovkin. They don't want him to fight Andre Ward, which doesn't make any sense. You can't have it both ways. You can't sit over here and say he doesn't need to fight against Andre Ward, who is already proven, but we're going to call him the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. And he never has to fight a guy on the pound for pound list. I mean, if you really look at all of the fighters that advanced and catapulted, basically jumped into the pound for pound list, or on that list, I should say, most of them had to beat a guy who was already on that list, right? I mean, you had Guillermo Rigo, he had to beat Donaire. Donaire was like rated number 3, number 4, the best in the world. Floyd Mayweather, he had to beat Diego Corrales. Diego Corrales was rated number 5, the best in the world when he fought him. So, I mean, when you talk about Golovkin, yes, I agree with you, Ego. Golovkin has the potential to be, pound for pound top 3. He could probably even be number 1 one day. But you just don't get crowned pound for pound number 1. You have to beat someone to become the best. And if Golovkin were to just run right through somebody like Andre Ward, then you could, argue that he's number 1, he's number 2, he's number 3. But come on, man, you got to fight someone, and that's what we got to see. So it seems to me that the fans are taking a lot of pressure off of Golovkin. In fact, they're encouraging him not to fight Andre Ward by constantly saying stuff like, fuck you, Andre Ward. They're calling Andre Ward a piece of shit. I'm reading comments on my videos, and they're saying stuff like, Andre Ward is a bitch. Abel Sanchez called Andre Ward a diva. I mean, why is this getting so personal just because Andre Ward wants to fight against Golovkin? And so, I mean, let's just think about this real quick, Ego. If Golovkin, let's say Canelo and Cotto, they're not ready to fight Golovkin, after their fight in November. If neither one of those guys fight Golovkin, what is Golovkin going to do then? How is he going to prove that he's the best? You know what I mean?
True.
I mean, but like I said, we'll see.
I look at it like this, man. Like, some people, they're like, oh, you don't like Mayweather ego. But look at this. Mayweather and Pacquiao was supposed to happen for like 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was, right? And it didn't happen for whatever reason. We all know the whole timeline of why it happened. Like, this is a fight that needs to happen. May the best man win, put it to rest. But you get down from a logical, realistic perspective like we do, and instead but these other fans are emotional. So the level of if he fights Ward, not saying he can't beat Ward, but they know there's a level of danger, and for that reason, they try to almost block it and down talk it. But if Triple G says, if he says, hey, I'm fighting next, then they call this a good fight. See, Triple G gives the fans what they want, but they're not saying that right now.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, I mean, it's a huge contradiction because when Floyd Mayweather was, you know, when he, I guess I should say, I'm saying when, like it's been a long time ago, but when Floyd Mayweather was still fighting, he was undefeated, and you had a lot of fans that were saying, yeah, you know, that undefeated record don't mean shit. Floyd think that he the best just because he's undefeated. He just wants to protect his record and doesn't want to take risk, et cetera, et cetera. But it's so crazy because now when it comes to Golovkin, that's exactly what fans, and once again, this is not really so much, I won't put all the blame on Golovkin and his promoter, but I'll say this is how the fans are approaching the situation. The fans are sitting over here basically saying, we want him to keep that undefeated record. We don't want him to fight someone who can possibly challenge him and take that undefeated record away. They don't want to see that. That's why, I mean, and we know that this is obvious because if that was the case, they would have been saying, we don't want to see Golovkin fight Willie Monroe. We don't want to see him fight no damn Rubio. We don't want to see him fight no Adama. Those dudes ain't shit. You would think that the fans would say that, but instead, they didn't say that about them, but they say it about the guy who's considered pound for pound, you know, top 3, one of the best fighters in the world, Andre Ward. It doesn't make sense. So my whole thing is, once again, man, boxing fans are trying to turn this sport into a joke. They're making a mockery out of the sport by basically saying you don't have to fight anyone to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world. It's who we like. And if we don't like you, you know, you're not going to get an opportunity to prove that you're the best. I mean, if you look at the pattern, you see all these fighters on a coincidental list that in a certain sense, fighters or even fans are trying to block out. You know, like I said, when Demetrius Andrade was calling out Canelo, Demetrius Andrade is the best fighter at 154, and he's the champion. And here he is giving Canelo an opportunity to fight for his belt. Canelo turns it down, and he fights James Kirkland. And Demetrius Andrade sits over here like, why wouldn't you fight for the title if I'm giving you a shot at my title, right? And I'm reading the comments when I did a video talking about this. You got all these people saying, oh, you know, Demetrius, you know, he's a bitch, he's a bastard. They were saying the same things about him that they're saying about Andre Ward right now, right? So when the best is offering, you know, Canelo a fight, the fans, they have a problem with it. Why? Because he is a threat to possibly beating him. They did the same thing when Gary Russell was the mandatory for Johnny Gonzalez. The same messages. Gary Russell is a bitch. He doesn't deserve to fight Johnny Gonzalez. You can't have it both ways. Okay? You guys can't have it both ways. You can't sit over here and say Gary Russell's a bum. He ain't fought nobody. But as soon as he's willing to fight somebody, then you want to say he doesn't deserve to fight Gonzalez. I mean, you can't have it both ways. I'm noticing a pattern here. This happened to Gary Russell. This happened to Demetrius Andrade. This happened to Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now this happening to Andre Ward. There is a pattern going here, and it ain't no damn coincidence. So, anyway,
It also, in my opinion, it also happened with Pacquiao. Pacquiao lost to Bradley in the first fight. It was controversial.
Yeah, I meant to bring that one up too. Yep.
Pacquiao was saying, oh, I beat him fair and square. The fans really know what's up. I need a rematch. And then these fans, a lot of these fans, they don't want to think. They think with emotion. They don't want to think for their own self. So when Pacquiao's a person, so he might contradict them. He was saying, Bradley, I don't need to rematch him because the world knows I beat him, even though they gave him the but they when they announced that he's rematching Bradley, some fans, instead of like staying true to what they said before, the rematch doesn't need to happen. They're like, yeah, Pacquiao, he's such a warrior. He's undefeated Timothy Bradley, who just beat Ruslan or whoever. So they tuned per what the says. Like I said earlier, Canelo didn't want to fight Laura, and when he didn't want to fight Laura, you didn't have a brain of your own to say, hey, that's a good fight. He needs to fight Laura. But when he announced the fight, then all of a sudden you're saying, "Oh, it's a great fight." See, he's giving the man what. I just ask people to be consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see Triple G Ward. Like, first of all, what's your reasoning for it? And then be consistent with it. When the fight does happen, if it does happen, don't try to switch up and try to act like you were all for this fight all along. When waste.
Yep, absolutely. And to elaborate,
And like, people are realistic because they'll badmouth the people. Like, I mean, fact is fact. Ward has a better resume than Triple G. I don't care who's. I don't care what flag you like or anything. Ward has a better resume. He's a gold medalist. Triple G's a silver medalist. In my opinion, Canelo, younger, he's like 25 and has a better resume than Triple G per his division.
yeah,
He's been in there with Mosley, Mayweather, Kirkland.
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And to elaborate on what you said, because like I said, I was going to bring up the Bradley situation too. But to elaborate on that, if you guys don't remember, I remember when I did my Bradley versus Pacquiao prediction breakdown video, which is like the first boxing video, one of the first videos I ever did on YouTube when it comes to talking boxing. But when I did that video, I remember as soon as the fight was signed, I make this breakdown video and I read the comments, and they were treating Tim Bradley like he was hated 10 times more than Floyd Mayweather. I mean, all of a sudden, Manny Pacquiao's fighting this undefeated American unified champion, right? Who did everything at the junior welterweight division, beat everybody, beat all the champions, beat a number of undefeated fighters, right? And then all of a sudden, he signs to fight against Manny Pacquiao, and there was so much hate, it was unbelievable. They were saying this bastard doesn't deserve to fight Manny Pacquiao, and this is some bullshit. How did he get a chance to fight Manny Pacquiao, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, they was talking about this man like he was the Antichrist, you know? So it's crazy, man. All of these fighters on the coincidental list. And what makes it even crazier, what they basically do is the guy who they want to protect, that guy ends up losing. That guy ends up losing to the fighter who they said didn't deserve to be in the ring with him. We seen this in the Guillermo Rigo versus Donaire fight. They said Rigo didn't deserve to fight Donaire. He didn't have enough fights. Rigo ended up beating him. They said this in the Tim Bradley fight. Tim Bradley, he ended up beating Manny Pacquiao, right? So these fans are not stupid. They notice the pattern. And instead of them just giving a fighter like Andre Ward credit and saying, you know what, man, that guy is just too damn good. And you know the funny thing is, Boxing Ego, when I talk to these cats on the, in the street, of course they're a lot more honest when you're talking to them face to face as opposed to being on the internet. Because when I talk to them face to face, a lot of them will just admit it. They'll be like, man, but Andre Ward is too good, man. Andre Ward will probably beat him, so on and so forth, right? But they don't say that on the internet. On the internet, they just type up whatever kind of ridiculous shit they want to type up. I wanted to jump into this little news. Freddie Roach, he just recently said, which it surprised me that he would say something like this, but then again, I guess nothing should really surprise us when it comes to what Freddie Roach says. But Freddie just recently said that he's almost ready, to give Manny Pacquiao the boot. He says that if Manny Pacquiao doesn't go out and look impressive, then he's pretty much willing to let Manny Pacquiao go. I mean, what do you think about him saying that, Boxing Ego? Should we take it serious? Is he just saying anything, or does he mean it?
I mean, I didn't read the actual article about it, but just going off of that, I mean, at this point, nothing. Freddie Roach is a trainer/promoter, as far as I'm concerned at this point.
Yeah.
Respect to him and what he does, but I mean, that's kind of how I view him as a promoter. Like every opponent, like he predicts a knockout. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna knock out Cotto, we're gonna knock out Bradley, we're gonna knock out Marquez. Our right hand is improved for Pacquiao. So I mean, it's hard. I think sometimes he probably he's been in the game so long. I think he says stuff to stir up headlines and to rise out of people. So.
Yeah,
I think I need, like you said, his bread and butter has been Pacquiao, so I don't think be that quick to diss him and to to drop him. I mean, and the other thing is they don't have that many fights left in them, from what it sounds like. So I don't know. I think it's more or less just to stir up some headline.
Yeah, and just to go ahead and give you the actual source, you guys could check that that article out. A matter of fact, it's an interview that Freddie Roach did with Ellie Setback is what it's showing. I guess they done united. That's what it's showing right here at least. But the article, I read it off of Boxing News 24. But this is exactly what Freddie Roach said, and I quote, "Manny Pacquiao has to really show me something in his next fight for me to continue with him." Okay, so that tells you pretty much everything that I just said right there. So yeah, I mean that's pretty wild. At the same time, I shouldn't really say it's a bad thing for Freddie Roach to say that. We know that he usually likes to just tell it like it is if he's not trying to sell a fight, right? Every now and then he speaks the truth and he tells you what he really feels. And if he really feels that way, he really feels that way. But it's hard for me to believe he'll leave his golden goose, because that's what Manny Pacquiao is. He is his golden goose. So, we'll see. And also, Freddie Roach, he also said that Bob Arum told him he's leaving it up to him to decide who Manny Pacquiao should fight next out of Lucas Matisse, Amir Khan, Terrence Crawford, and Marquez, who is now, out of the equation because Marquez, he just rejected a fifth fight again, which I understand why he's not going to take that fight. He wants people to remember the last time they fought, Pacquiao got knocked out, and he doesn't want to take a chance of losing in a fifth fight and people, kind of forget about that knockout loss. So Marquez is not about to fight Manny Pacquiao a fifth time. But who do you think, Ego, if it's up to Manny or if it's up to Freddie Roach, who do you think they'll pick out of Matisse, Terrence Crawford, Amir Khan, and that's pretty much it for now? Who do you think he'll pick?
140-pounder.
140. So you say none of the above, you think? But then again, Terrence Crawford is a 140-pounder.
Crawford, they're 140.
Huh?
Probably one of them.
See, I'm gonna tell you, man. If he take Terrence Crawford, what's that? You broke up just a little bit.
Yeah, what?
What'd you say, Ego?
I said I think he'll pick one of the 140-pounders like Terrence Crawford or Lucas Matisse.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. I'm forgetting that Lucas Matisse is a 140-pounder as well. I can't see it. I mean, I would love to see, if it was up to me as a fan, from a fan's perspective, I would love to see Pacquiao Crawford because because we get to see if this will be a passing of the torch, or is Manny Pacquiao going to just take out that young lion? So I would love to see that fight, but I have a feeling Freddie Roach is going to pick Amir Khan. Matter of fact, Freddie Roach, he's been talking a lot about fighting Amir Khan or Danny Garcia. I know that's been Freddie Roach's favorite pick for quite some time, but I don't know if they can get Danny Garcia because that's not one of Bob Arum's options. So, yeah, man, we'll see.
You think it'll happen with Khan? Is Khan with him still?
I mean, the way they're talking, I mean, Bob Arum keeps bringing it up. You know what? That's a good question because Bob keeps bringing it up like he doesn't have a lawsuit with PBC. He keeps, I don't know.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, unless Amir Khan has some type of, business deal with Al Heyman where he can branch out and do his own thing. I mean, I don't know exactly what type of business, contract he has with Al Heyman, but Bob Arum, he's been talking about Khan for a while. Matter of fact, from reports, that's the fight that they're mainly negotiating right now. I hear they're in pretty much strong negotiations when it comes to Amir Khan. So I don't know how that will work, but if it does come to fruition, then that lets us know that any fight is possible. If Bob Arum can work with Amir Khan, who's with Al Heyman, that lets us know that a whole lot of fights can be made. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Well, you got anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, Ego?
Well, yeah, I just want to see what you think of the heavyweight division. We had Anthony Joshua did a sellout versus Dillian Whyte. Just had a knockout in his last fight, and the week
Well,
Deontay Wilder's fighting. I don't really know much about Wilder's opponent.
No, I don't either. But you broke up a little bit. I just want to make sure you were talking about the upcoming fight, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, December 12th, right?
Yeah, we have that. Tyson Fury versus Klitschko, and then you have Wilder this weekend.
I'm telling you, Ego, this is the best
So
year.
who's like the next heavyweight?
Yeah,
The man at heavyweight.
You know what? It's crazy you bringing this up because I just uploaded. Before I came up here to the studio, I just uploaded a video talking about Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. A lot of people didn't know this. Did you know they had a history where Dillian Whyte actually beat Joshua, and you know about that, right?
Yeah, amateurs got down.
Yeah, he got knocked down. Did you know that was Dillian Whyte's first fight? That was his debut amateur fight when he beat Anthony Joshua?
Nah, I didn't. I thought he had a couple fights before that.
Yeah. I mean, I had just I watched an interview that he did with I don't know, Sky Sports, somebody in the UK, and basically he said that it was his first fight, and he said at the time Anthony Joshua was 4-0 with 4 knockouts, and if you watch the fight, you can tell. I mean, Anthony Joshua, he really looked amateurish in that fight. You could see, I mean, the progression is unbelievable, you know, from present day going all the way back to that fight he had with Dillian Whyte. But no, man, like I said, I did a video. I talked about it. I think Anthony Joshua is the most talented, the most complete fighter when it comes to prospects, not including the actual champions right now. But it would probably be out of Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker. You know, out of those two fighters, to me, they look like the most complete heavyweights right now. But at the same time, we got to see how they deal with getting cracked, how they deal with taking good shots. But Dillian Whyte, man, I mean, I'm really impressed with Dillian Whyte as well, even though that fight was a long time ago. But that was his amateur pro debut. Granted, Dillian Whyte, he also has a background in kickboxing as well, you know, but it was still his first boxing fight. And he beat Anthony Joshua and knocked him down. So I can't wait to see the fight, and I truly believe the winner of that fight is most likely the most dangerous heavyweight to anyone's title, including, of course, Deontay Wilder and Vladimir Klitschko. I'm not saying Anthony beats, you know, Wilder or Klitschko, but I'm saying that the winner of that fight in December, that'll tell us a lot about how good, you know, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Anthony Joshua, even though I could easily see Dillian Whyte beating him. But I'm just saying, whoever wins that fight, they're going to be a serious threat, you know, to the heavyweight championship, you know. So, what'd you say, Hugo?
I said the other one I'm looking forward to is you got a 140-pounder person. You got Victor Postol, but he fighting his old title. And then Terrence Crawford, Deary John. So the winners of those two can fight each other.
You broke up a little bit. All I heard was you saying Crawford fighting Deary John, and then what was the first fight?
Matisse versus Postol.
Postol. Okay.
Yeah, 240-pound fights.
Yeah, but is the winner of that fight going to actually fight Terrence Crawford? Is the question, or are they already talking about that?
I don't know. The Postol Matisse fight will be the champion. Eddie Garcia's old belt. It'll be a title. It'll be the champion. So I don't know if they would try to, fight Crawford or make him meet better men or what. Yeah, because I remember when Matisse, when Adrian Broner was calling out Matisse, and Matisse was saying there's no reason for me to fight Adrian Broner because he doesn't have a belt. And then all of a sudden, before Terrence Crawford got his belt at 140, they was looking for an opponent for Terrence Crawford to fight for the belt. And Matisse, of course, never jumped up to fight Terrence Crawford. So, I mean, I would be, I would be impressed, or I would be surprised, I should say, if Matisse, let's just say if Matisse were to beat Postal, which I don't know if he can because Postal's a real good fighter. But I'm just saying, if Matisse beat Postal, I don't think he would be too crazy to fight against Terrence Crawford.
Now, Postal, on the other hand, I'm not really sure. He may be interested in fighting against Terrence Crawford, but I'm starting to believe that fighters like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, I'm starting to think these fighters, they're going to be some of the most avoided fighters in the sport, like Andre Ward, or I shouldn't even say Andre Ward, more like Guillermo Rigondeaux. I truly believe that, especially if you get a fighter that the fans really like, that they want to protect, they're going to try to keep that fighter as far away from Terrence Crawford as they can. So we'll see, man. But just
Who do you want to see? Errol Spence Jr. Little
what is that?
See him. I think Errol Spence fight him fight next.
Who I want to see Errol Spence fight next? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So who do you want to see him fight next?
Man, you already know, Ego. I mean, I feel Errol Spence is ready to fight anybody right now. I would like to see him even fight against Keith Thurman. If Keith Thurman couldn't get, the Sean Porters, the Maidanas, and all those fighters, I'm just saying, if nobody were to fight Keith Thurman, I like to see him against, one of those guys. I like to see Errol Spence against Keith Thurman. Errol Spence against Sean Porter. All of the top guys. I think Errol Spence against Robert the Ghost Guerrero would be a really good step-up fight. But I'm hearing there's talks of Danny Garcia possibly fighting against Robert Guerrero. But I've also heard that a lot of people turned down fights with Errol Spence. He said, when I talked to him, he said it was about a good 10 fighters, and he's talking about name fighters. Now he didn't mention Victor Ortiz, but it was just rumors, and so I don't want to, make it seem like it's a fact. But it was rumors that Victor Ortiz actually turned down a fight with Errol Spence as well. So when you ask the question who I want him to fight, I mean that's pretty tough because nobody will really fight him, So I don't know, man. I don't know, and I just hope somebody gets in the ring so Errol Spence and fighters like Errol Spence, they can show what they're made of. But, once again, Ego, when I think about the contrast when it comes to a fighter like Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin, not saying nothing bad about Gennady Golovkin, but Golovkin he's pretty much in his mid-30s, and you have someone like Errol Spence who's very young. I believe he's around probably 24, 25, something like that. And yet Errol Spence is willing to do whatever it takes to prove that he's the best fighter in the world. I just think that, we should see the same thing with Gennady Golovkin. If there is a fighter that is close to your weight class on the pound-for-pound list, that's a no-brainer that you want to fight that guy. Like, they're calling this guy one of the best in the world. Let me go ahead and beat him and show you guys that I'm better than him. This is what fighters have been doing for years, so... Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But meanwhile, somebody has to fight Errol Spence, and I truly believe within the next year, if these guys get in the ring with Errol Spence, he'll most likely be top 5, one of the best fighters in the world, probably within the next year, if fighters get in the ring with him. But that's only if he gets the opportunity. Yep. So, yeah, that's pretty much all we got for now, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. You want to close out with anything, Ego?
Nah, I'm looking forward to the next couple of months, like October, November, December. Good. Boxing ain't dead, ain't going nowhere. Even though all the fighters are calling out Mayweather, he's retired. So just looking forward to it, man. Boxing alive and well.
Absolutely. We're going to finish this year with a bang because there's a lot of good fights at the end of the year. So check out my man Boxing Ego's new website, boxingego.com. Go ahead and check out nationboxing.com. I'm your boy Dante, Boxing Ego. We'll see you guys next week. It's the Nation, baby.